What is up, FPL managers guys? Today we look at what I did with my 3 free transfers and my Game Week 20 FPL team selection. Let's get into the video. Right off the bat, you've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail. We want to know what we do with Nicholas Jackson. I, like many other people, have Nicholas Jackson in my team, and we've got to look at other forwards we need to sell him for. Now, first of all, I already have Isak and Solanke, so we will not be looking at Isak and Solanke. But for the record, even though I think Solanke is better than Jackson, I wouldn't sell Jackson for Solanke this game week. As for the Isak transfer, I would definitely recommend selling Jackson for Isak if you can afford it. Apart from those two, there's really only other 2 forwards I like in the game apart from Solanke, Isak and Jackson, and that is Mateta and Wood. And even those two aren't great options. I know there's a lot of hype around Chris Wood at the moment, but if you look at the stats right here, Chris Wood and Mateta, they have absolutely nothing over Nicholas Jackson, and I can't understand why there's so much hype over them. I mean, I know Chris Wood saves you money, but that's about it. I mean, Chris Wood is still a great option. Chris Wood for his value, yeah, quite cheap, very reliable, but selling Nicholas Jackson or another forward you have for Chris Wood right now isn't really the play. I mean, look here, right? All their fixtures there is just as easy or just as hard as each other. No one's really got a better fixture run than the other person in the next 4 games. As well as the underlying data as well, Jackson has more expected goal involvements, more expected points in the last 5 games than both of these players in less minutes as well. So to get Wood or Mateta or Wissa or Pedro over Nicholas Jackson, even though they're cheaper, I don't think it's worth it, because looking at this Jackson fixture run as well, at least for the next 3 games, you need to hold him. If it gets to a point where he gets benched for the Crystal Palace game, then we can have a conversation about who we're selling him for. But for now, guys, I think all of you that own Nicholas Jackson should be keeping him in your teams, but I don't see that going on. I see a lot of Nicholas Jackson selling going on, and I think it's the wrong idea. I think you've got the wrong move, guys. I mean, Ollie Watkins is good for the next 2 game weeks. He's got good data, and he's definitely going to start, but when John Duran comes back, Watkins becomes a rotation risk and a player that I don't want in my team. Although I did have someone I wanted to bring in for Nicholas Jackson, but not in the way you thought. If we look at Mbumo, right guys, look at these transfers I was considering. We sell Jackson, go down to Stewart, the cheapest forward in the game. Then we sell Winks and get Mbumo, so we're basically switching from a 3-4-3 to a 3-5-2. And I know what you're thinking, why are you using 2 free transfers to go from Jackson to Mbumo when you could just go to Wissa? Well guys, look at the Mbumo data compared to Wissa, right? Wissa is not a player I want to own right now. He's basically done all but nothing these last 5 game weeks, and I know Jackson has only got 1 goal in these last 5 game weeks, but at least he's got some expected goals to show for it, and at least he's got an excuse. He's played not as many minutes as he normally does. But even this Jackson to Mbumo move, it could be a very sideways transfer, because Mbumo and Jackson, similar underlying data, similar fixture runs. Like, what is really the point? I may as well just roll the transfer, and guys, that is what I'm going to do, because like I said, pulling up the Chelsea fixture run here, the next 3 games look quite good, and Jackson isn't a player I want to sell. A little bonus fun fact for you guys. The fun fact is, this is Jackson's first time going more than 2 games without a return. So statistically speaking, he's definitely, almost guaranteed, a return next game week. And I know that's not really a logical way of thinking about things, but I'll follow the patterns, guys. You just got to follow the trends sometimes. Jackson doesn't usually go this long without a return, so it means he's going to get one. Or at least that's what I'm going to tell myself ever since I decided to keep him in my team. So yeah, we're going to go into game week 21 with 4 free transfers, still very calm and composed with the free transfers, not taking a hit all season, and we've got loads stored up in the back to use when we need them. Let's go on to this team now, guys. Looking at the goalkeeper, Sanchez has been rotated twice in the last 6 game weeks, but considering it's not really gone that well both times, well, last time when they played Ipswich, I don't think Maresca is going to do it again. He did it against 2 promoted teams. One game they won 5-1 or 5-0. The other one they lost 2-0 to Ipswich. So yeah, I don't think it was a popular move by the Chelsea fans either. I don't think they liked it. And Jackson was also rotated in this game as well. I don't think Jackson's going to get rotated again. Now guys, let's clear the elephant in the room. I don't have Morgan Rogers in the team, but I did not sell him. He is on the bench because I have great bench cover. I can bench him for this game week in game week 20. Then I can bench him for game week 22 when he plays away to Arsenal, because I've got the bench cover for it. So in his place, we have Calvin Bassey. I know it's not amazing. I mean, it could have been Anthony Robinson. if I wasn't such a tart and, got myself priced out by accidentally falling asleep before I made the transfer. But playing home to Ipswich is the easiest fixture in the league. I mean, technically speaking, Ipswich have like one of the worst away attacks in the Premier League this season. I think only Southampton is worse, and Southampton is only slightly worse. So I'm quite optimistic for this Fulham game. There isn't really much to say about Gabriel. I mean, everybody's got like 2 Arsenal defenders or an Arsenal defender plus Raya. So it's not like an Arsenal clean sheet helps me that much anyway, to be honest. So yeah, Gabriel, if you get points, nice. I'd prefer a goal involvement more than a clean sheet personally. But yeah, it's just average, I'm not fussed about him. I may end up getting a second Arsenal defender with my free transfers if I think it's worth it, but some of their fixtures are quite tough at the moment, so I'm not going to move on it now. Maybe in the near future. Next to him, we have Gavardio. Now, guys, Gavardio is the only player in my team since Game Week 1, the one player that's never left. He's never even left my first Game Week 1 draft. Ever since I started planning FPL, like weeks before the season started, Gavardio never even left my ideas, never left my thoughts. So he's clearly been a really loyal player to me and someone he's going to be hard to get rid of. But further down the line in Game Week 23, looking at their fixture run, I think Gavardio is going to have to go. But for this game week, playing home to West Ham, I quite like that fixture. Always got a bit of goal threat, always got a bit of assist potential, always got some clean sheet potential as well. So he's still going to be here for the next couple game weeks. But, there is a storm ahead. And that's when I'll probably sell him to Saliba. Looking at Trent finishing off the defence, as a Man United fan, I could not be more confident about the fact Trent is going to get some points, okay? Man United are awful at defending corners, defending crosses, and defending free kicks. And as a matter of fact, they're bad at defending in general, and they always get exploited by the other team's fullbacks. It's like every manager just knows what to do. So while I'm not going to enjoy my team getting battered on the weekend, I mean, Trent getting some good points will soften the blow. So hopefully, Man United, fingers crossed Man United win 4-3, but Trent gets a hat-trick. What's the odds of that happening? 50-50? On to the midfield now, guys. We've got a midfield 3. Salah is the captain. That one's obvious. No explanation needed. Next to him, it's Cole Palmer. There's also no explanation needed. Salah and Palmer are the highest owned players in the game, and pretty much everyone around my rank is going to have Palmer in their team, plus Salah captain. So these guys, because of their effective ownership, they're not going to affect my rank positively or negatively at all. So there's not really much to say. I mean, if you don't have them, get them. I mean, well, you know what? We will talk about Palmer actually, because Palmer in the last 3 game weeks has not been playing like an 11 million player. I mean, guys, looking at the data from Game Week 17 to Game Week 19, compared from Game Week 14 to Game Week 16, there is a huge difference. I mean, it's not something I'm going to take action on, but it's definitely something to monitor. But on to my favourite midfielder now, guys, is Maili Sarr. He is my favourite type of FPL asset. Low in ownership, great in underlying data, and a great fixture run, and very cheap, very good value. What more could you want? Now, I brought him in last game week playing home to Southampton, and he blanked. And I was quite disappointed actually. I was wondering if I had made the wrong move and maybe he was a bit of an overhyped asset. But after seeing he got 1.04 expected goal involvements, I kind of, had a bit more faith in my decision. I think I've still made the right decision. And I think that Crystal Palace fixture run is still really good and he's still got loads of opportunities to get a return for me. And I think a lot of people underrate him as well. I mean, a lot of people just look at his Maili Sarr, see a couple big hauls and you're like, yeah, he's lucky. He's not going to get any more. But the data says otherwise, guys. And the fixture run says otherwise. So I think all of us that have Sarr are definitely in a good place right now and should nowhere near be considering selling him. On to the front 3 now, guys. You can see the whole lineup, and without a doubt, you can already tell the 3 biggest threats to our rank is going to be Chris Wood, Brian Mbeumo, and Anthony Robinson. Well, Anthony Robinson one ain't too bad because if he doesn't get an assist and he just gets a clean sheet, that's still going to positively affect me because I've got Calvin Bassey playing home to Ipswich. But we talked about Chris Wood and Mbeumo already in this video. They're pretty decent FPL assets, but they're no better than anyone else I've got. So I don't really expect them to get, more than 1 goal involvement next game week. I mean, they both have good fixtures, but that's all it is really. We already looked at Chris Wood's expected goals and Mbeumo's is no better. I mean, they're both on penalties, which is a worry, but I'm sure it'll be fine. My point is though, I think my team is actually looking in quite a good spot this game week. I mean, the threat is normally players like Cunha or Salah if he's not my captain, but this game week is just going to be Mbeumo and Chris Wood, and I don't mind that. On to the front line now, guys. We have Isak, and we discussed this in last video, but Isak is just as essential as Salah and Palmer, and his ownership is the exact same as Salah and Palmer's. Isak, Salah and Palmer, guys, are all the exact same. You need to have them, but they're boring. At the end of the day, they're not going to help your rank because everybody else has them, and rightfully so. You should definitely have these guys in your team. You need it to survive. It's like bottled water, like Water's not fancy, it's not fun, you don't get excited to drink it, but you need it. On to Solanke now, guys. He's got a difficult run. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to try and, sugarcoat it of sorts. I'm not going to do that. But Spurs normally do well in the tough games, so it's not something that's really putting me off. I mean, I only brought Solanke in last game week, so I knew what I was in for. I've got bench cover for game week 21 when he plays away to Arsenal, so I don't need to worry about that. I just need to hope he doesn't ghost again like he did home to Wolves. I mean, home to Wolves is a really good fixture, and Solanke had absolutely no involvement in any part of that game whatsoever, even though he played the entire 90 minutes. And the last player we got is Jackson, guys. We already talked about Jackson and we know why he's in my team. I'm sticking up for him here. I'm putting a lot of faith in him, so hopefully he can prove me right or I'm going to look like an absolute melon. Jackson, please get me at least one return in these next 3 game weeks, and for the love of God, please don't get benched. Just let me remind you guys once more, he's only blanked more than 2 games in a row once, and that is last game week where he blanked 3 game weeks in a row. It cannot happen again. Anyway, guys, if you did make it this far, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of my team selection. Do you think I've got a good team? Is Calvin Bassey optimal bench cover? Let me know. I will see you all in the next video.